Hello, my name is Mr. Shaw and I am responsible for the monitoring and reporting of student progress across the school, as well as being a line manager for Year 7. The following presentation would normally form part of the information sessions that we would offer during the Meet the Tutor evening way back in September, but clearly that wasn't possible in this most unusual of years. However, with the recent publication of the first progress review for Year 7 students, I'm sure that many of you would be interested in understanding the mechanics that sit behind the data contained in the reviews that you'll receive at the end of each term throughout the duration of your daughter or son's time at King Edward VI School. I have to start by saying how impressed we all are with how well Year 7 have settled into the school. Despite the lack of the usual taster days and familiarisation opportunities, Year 7 have made a smooth transition into the school and they've coped admirably with the COVID restrictions and social distancing that's been such a part of this term. Behind the face masks, Year 7 are quick to say hello and they've taken everything in their stride. One aspect of secondary school that takes some getting used to is the number of lessons and different teachers that they have. So your daughter or son should be fitter than they've ever been moving around from one lesson to another over such a massive school site. Regardless of the impact of lockdown and the months of being home educated, life goes on and students are still expected to reach the highest of educational standards. The GCSE examinations are now more challenging than ever, with content being brought down from A levels in many subjects. So Key Stage 3 is very much the training ground for Key Stage 4, with the content of a number of GCSEs actually starting in Year 9. The new grading system for GCSE was brought in a couple of years ago, and it's been quickly absorbed into the culture and language of secondary schools, although it still seems unfamiliar and strange to many parents and employers. A grade 9 was introduced to stretch the top end, and also a new national standard of a grade 4 standard pass and a grade 5 strong pass. The expected standard is a term that is used a lot, and it refers to a student who is reaching the government's expectation for most students, which they identify as at least a standard pass of a grade 4. So a student producing the expected standard of work in Year 7 would be the equivalent of a student achieving a grade 4 in Year 11. However, we as a school expect our students to reach their full potential, and in many cases this is well beyond a grade 4. In Year 7 and Year 8, we avoid using grades in lessons, as students can quickly become too focused on hitting the next grade, rather than understanding the skills and knowledge that they need to master in order to improve their overall performance. With that in mind, students are encouraged to track their progress using skills and knowledge grids, which you can usually see in the front or back of their exercise books. And there are examples of each department's progress criteria in the curriculum area of the school website. When talking about progress with Year 7 and Year 8, we use a terminology that's similar to what they've been used to at primary schools. Although the wording is slightly different, we talk about foundation being those students working towards the expected standard and secure for those working at the expected standard, with advanced and exceptional for those students showing greater depth. Behind these broader terms are the associated GCSE grades. A student with a high Key Stage 2 score will be expected to achieve a high GCSE grade in Year 11, and it's our job to keep them working at that exceptional standard throughout the 5 years. The challenge with a student with a lower Key Stage 2 score is to encourage them to reach the national standard at the very least. But progress is unlikely to run so smoothly, so there will be a few ups and downs along the way. So we like to track progress at the end of each term to check that students are on track to reach their potential. The progress reviews are designed to be a quick snapshot and not a lengthy report. Teachers have been given explicit instructions to only provide a comment where a student's approach to learning is not meeting our expectation or where their work is far below the standard that they should be achieving. To provide parents with an idea of the standard that their daughter or son should be working at, we provide a position based on an average of their prior attainment in English and Maths, which I will explain in greater detail later on in the presentation. The best indication of how your daughter or son have settled into their studies is to look at the mark that the teachers have provided for their approach to school-based learning and independent learning. To be given a 1 or 2 for effort is an indication that they are doing really well and there are no serious concerns. There is not always a great difference between a 1 or a 2, as this is a much more subjective indicator. It's rare for a Year 7 student to be given a 4 for effort, although there are often some 3s given, especially where students require to improve their focus on lessons, their organisational skills, or how they complete their homework. It's at this stage, if we haven't already been made aware of it, that we ensure that intervention and support is put in place to help those students who are struggling. The best way to get a feel for how your daughter or son are doing in specific subjects is to look at their exercise books, which is where you will find the feedback from their teachers. You can also see how much pride they are taking in their studies by the presentation of their work. Looking at their exercise books is also a good way into talking to your daughter or son about their studies, as well as enabling you to keep track of the topics that they're studying. Whenever your daughter or son completes an assessment or a major piece of work, their teacher will provide them with an indication of their current progress and, more importantly, what they can do to improve their performance. As mentioned previously, there will be a progress review published on Switch at the end of each term. There will also be another opportunity for you to talk to your daughter or son's form tutor in a virtual meeting in June. I'm now going to explain how we calculate where we expect a student to be by the end of year 11, as this underpins how we track students throughout the next 5 years. Not surprisingly, predicting future attainment is based on the prior attainment of that student. As pointed out in a previous slide, a student who enters the school having done extremely well in their Key Stage 2 exams will be expected to go on and do equally as well in their GCSE exams. The problem for this year is that we don't have any Key Stage 2 exam results to base our calculations on, although we do have the assessments from the primary teacher or where they were in relation to the national standard at the end of a year 6. For many years now, we have used the expertise of an organisation called Fisher Family Trust to estimate where a student should be at the end of year 11 based on their Key Stage 2 exam performance. With the absence of any Key Stage 2 data, Fisher Family Trust teamed up with another company, GL Assessment, to offer schools an alternative to the Key Stage 2 exams in the form of their CAT4 test. Hence, all Year 7 students sat the computer-based CAT4 test in October. The CAT4 test is what is known as a cognitive ability test, similar in style to a traditional 11 plus exam, that asks questions based on spatial awareness, patterns, literacy and numeracy. Whilst the test provides us with a wider range of information on a student's ability, it doesn't have the extended writing element of the Key Stage 2 English exam, so it can tell us how strong their vocabulary is, but not how good they are at sentence construction and written communication. With the CAT4 standardised scores, Fisher Family Trust puts students into a context based on their test performance, their gender and their date of birth. Fisher Family Trust then look at how students with a similar context or profile performed in previous GCSE exams. For example, in this made-up scenario, 50% of girls born in February with a CAT4 score of 110 achieved a grade 6 in their final history GCSE exam, with 5% securing a grade 7. We would want our students with this same profile to be at least in the top 50% of students. So we would set their grade range, which we start using from year 9 onwards, from a grade 6 to a grade 7. This would be referred to as advanced in year 7 and year 8. An added complication that we experienced with our current year 7 was that the estimates provided by Fisher Family Trust were far lower than in previous years, as you can see clearly in this table showing the proportion of grades expected at the 50% estimate. This wasn't totally unexpected, as students weren't prepared for the CAT4 test in the same way that they would have been for their Key Stage 2 exams, and they had missed out in several months of education during lockdown. However, I would suspect that the figures for the current Year 8 would have been lower if they also had been based on CAT4 tests rather than Key Stage 2 exam scores. We found that the 5% figure, although still a touch lower, gave us a much better fit with our usual grade profile. So that is what we've used to set the expected standard in year 7 instead. But it's important to understand that we don't just use these estimates alone to calculate the potential of our students. In order to build up a more rounded profile of each individual, they also sat a reading, spelling and maths test in October. With this additional information, we've adjusted some of the estimates, and we will continue to refine our predictions as we get to know each student better over the forthcoming months. The estimates are there to provide us with a realistic expectation, but they should be there to motivate students and encourage them to achieve their best. Many people have been asking about setting, and due to the COVID situation, we took the decision to keep Year 7 in tutor group bubbles, meaning that all lessons apart from in PE and D&T are at mixed ability. This is something that we would normally do with Year 7 anyway, as we want them to bond with their tutor group and not be segregated into sets so early on. We would normally only set for maths and science in Year 7, and this wouldn't be done immediately, as both departments like to get to know the students before using their own baseline assessments rather than the Fisher Family Trust estimates to place them into ability groupings. With the current situation, we don't have any plans to change the groupings in the near future, but we'll let you know when we do. As you know, we use Show My Homework to set our independent learning tasks. While students may not claim to enjoy homework itself, they do find Show My Homework a useful tool, as it provides them with greater support for their homework tasks, as well as enabling them to plan more effectively. This system also enables you to monitor your daughter or son's homework as well. You can find more detailed information about the type and frequency of homework set by each department in the Support and Resources area of the school website. Although we've had to restrict the access to our Learning Resource Centre, Year 7 can get support with their homework after school on a Monday and Friday, as well as during some of their lunch times.